I would eat right now, but you know, this is all about poetry. Because this is the 2025 Poetry Bomb. I put it on post that I make a habit of going to different places every time. Right now I'm at Prost Alehouse, and I think Brian's about to come on in. And you can say hi to Brian. Oh, he's going that day. But I was going to share with you poetry that I have never read before, and they're from upcoming issues of cc&d magazine. I've got one set of two poems I'm going to read to you that are appearing in the July 2025 issue. It is titled Smokes and Dreams. Based on accepted writing in the book, this is the tentative cover. I have no idea who can see what. Try to do it for a live feed. Ta-da, you don't need to see my head. Ta-da. But this was, I believe, a Pixabay image because it implies the concept of dreams, but smoke coming from the pages. And I said it needs to have a moon in there to imply dreams, so I put in my photo of the moon, which isn't the moon, it's actually a photo of the solar eclipse. That's the sun you're seeing, actually, for 2024. Superimposed over. So it's not even a moon, but it gives the impression of moons. Sweet dreams. I know, but it works, so why not? I wanted to share with you two poems that are going to be in the July issue of cc&d, and also, hopefully, tentatively, in a 2026 book from Cyberlow Publishing, if they're doing a bunch of my stuff. That's usually, I think this was going to be about anger and protest and trying to make a change when everything is such an issue. So these two poems, this is so on my vein. This first one is titled Polluted by Plastics and Politicians. I might choose to be psycho-belligerent about recycling plastic when driving across the U.S. I'd stop at a truck stop and filling up my car with plastics. Multiple truckers left in piles on the curbs. I could at least drop it off to recycle at Walmart's. Call me over the top. I could retort with that trite line that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And wow, how uppity of me, acting all high and mighty. But no matter how recycle Nazi I get, Americans only recycle 10% of all plastics because there's no place to recycle. And with no obvious solutions, no one has the patience to solve anything. When Chicago, decades ago, started the mass recycling program, they told us we had to buy blue plastic bags to pitch recyclables. Even the recycle Nazi won't pay for dyed plastic bags to recycle. What a joke. And it is a joke, indeed, because I think people are too used to the preformed plastic containers for their daily office lunches, and they don't look for the microscopic recyclable symbols to reuse that packaging before recycling. They just pitch it. It's easier. Like most Americans, we've become overwhelmed, and when we become complacent, we have become a part of the problem. So, who is to blame when plastics infiltrate everything, from our food, to our blood, to our placenta? Even each American consumes a credit card worth of plastics daily. And sure, blame the companies who collectively pull the wool over our eyes for recycling as a real solution, when there's no place to even recycle the vast majority of what we consume. But we were fed lies, and we're now stuck in a system that most don't know how to get out of. This is beginning to sound like politics in America now, too, as one quote-unquote leader for either major party tells its people what they think they want to hear, and then they do whatever they want to see how much they can get away with before having to cut back and act like they care again. Politics is just one of the greatest races I've seen, other than the corporate one. But whether it be plastics or politics, they're both something we thought we needed, thought we couldn't live without, all while that elusive someone pulled the wool over our eyes, told us what we wanted to hear, and then didn't care if our choices did us in. From the upcoming July issue of cc&d magazine, I know, Smokes and Dreams, they're based on titles that are accepted pieces within it, so that's what that's all about. But anyway, I've got one longer one for you. I hope you, oh, I thought this was cool. Actually, I think I was sitting here with a beer in my hand and I read this one, or I wrote this one. Long guy. I hope you guys like it. It is titled Safety Culture Redefined. Seeing this sign repeatedly, I watched Thomas's Australian Open matches for weeks. Now, I know that in this millennium, the capitalist dollar reigns supreme as corporations pay to plaster their logos anywhere and everywhere for the blinded lemmings to blatantly absorb. So I've never stopped to think about the phrases plastered on everything to make a quick buck. But I had to stop when this phrase, safety culture, and nothing else, repeatedly ad infinitum was on our screen. And it was on the courts. And in the back of my mind, I assumed that this was Australian business about maybe safety standards at work or safety equipment, something innocuous about saying safe in the workplace, especially when everyone seems hyper-psyched to sue their corporate overlords if they're ever injured at work. Finally, letting the corporate words sink into my head, just as they wanted, but for all the wrong reasons. I thought about the mentality of younger generations being so sheltered by their mommies and daddies from anything that may affect them. Maybe this safety culture has raised younglings that to not have to face any hardships, so as to not bruise their precious egos. Then again, maybe safety culture refers to the void Democrats felt after the recent polls shifting away from them, coupled with their fear of their safety when they, whether they be, black, gay, female, or anything that isn't a white supremacist male. It sounds trifling of me to think of those two words, that they could be so weighted, and that our political system would impose such frightening overtones on so many. So I asked someone who voted for Trump and isn't a Republican if people on the right get this scared when someone on the left is voted into office. And they said, yes. So I asked them what they're afraid of. And he said, they're afraid of them taking our jobs. They're afraid as parents of losing autonomy over their children, where some schools will help kids who want sex changes without notifying the parents. They fear that the family will fall apart as America knows it when liberals take over the Oval Office. And I thought, this culture we live in now, it seems so unsafe. But is it really? Maybe I shouldn't be so flippant. My problem is that gender or not, race or not, sexual leanings or not, maybe I've just been cushioned away from the real pain others feel. And maybe others do struggle with this, and that's what I keep hearing. For in our day-to-day lives, we live in this kind of mind oblivion, this puffy cloud stroll through all the minutiae that's out there, but it doesn't need to affect us, so just put those blinders on and everything will be just fine. Wait, I need blinders. Put those blinders on and everything will be just fine. Because the thing is, that's what we Americans do. Our day-to-day lives have enough issues to worry about than what others go through. When it comes down to it, that's how it works. So, yeah, it's true. I see my rights removed firsthand, but what sucks is that to sometimes see the uphill battle others face with the choices that we seem to think make sense for us. Us versus them. We're not supposed to think of things on these terms, but this is the land of the free, or so they say, but that is what we do. We've segregated ourselves, stare at our tiny screens for the news we choose to pay attention to, and get angry when anyone else isn't as enlightened as us. But maybe that's the problem. We've chosen our narrow view to and get too upset when others try to burst our tiny bubble that we've chosen to surround ourselves in. In doing so, we forget to listen. I hear there's a lot outside our little bubbles, for at this point, I'm still stuck thinking about those two little words: safety, culture. I'm left questioning my culture, and it makes me wonder where that safety really is. Coming up in an upcoming issue of cc&d magazine, I don't think you can see it, but that's okay. You guys can all see it when it's out in a couple of months. This is coming up in a future issue of cc&d. I'm going to read things from past books in future readings for the Culture Redefined. Thank you all for listening, you guys. You're double plus awesome. Somebody break that live feed so we can start all over again. And thank you. I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you so much.